Hello and welcome to Queenie's Deep Dive into the card of the week. This week's card is Laiste or Laiste, the moon's daughter. She's beautiful, isn't she? Well, she is kind of like a guide, like her sister Epona's wild daughters. She's like a guide between the darkness and the light, although Epona's wild daughters bring us out of despair, whereas the Laiste, the moon's daughter, she brings us from the darkness into the light, because the moon illuminates things, but it also distorts things as well. It can distort things as well. So that's kind of what this week is about. This week is we have gotten to the what I feel that this card does is that it is like a midwife. It is a midwife of creation, of our creating new ways of being in our life, going to a new level, leaving things behind that no longer serve us. Like we've already went through the Singer of the Chalice, we've already went through the gestation period, and now whatever it is that we've created, whatever new way of being that we've created is being brought into the light, as it were. And Epona helps us do that. She also can help us do that by tricking us into tripping up so that we can make sure that our path is more clear than it was before, which includes maybe making us fall on our ass so that we can see things from a different perspective, so that we can make sure that we factor everything in as we're moving forward and we're not dragging things along that we don't need to drag along. So that's kind of what she's like. But let's read from the Faeries Oracle book about what her whole deal is about. But that's my initial thoughts on her, and then we dig deeper into the book, The Faeries Oracle, by Brian Froud, and the text is by Jessica Macbeth, and she's the one who wrote the meetings. So let's go find card number 38. I always go past her. Oh. Laiste, moon's daughter, light cast in shadows, spiritual guidance, illumination, and riddles. Like I said, she can be kind of a trickster. Like, sometimes you get answers and they don't seem like they'd be an answer that you want. And part of it is because you didn't ask the right question. Like, what's the right question? Sometimes you have to back away from a situation or a desire that you have. Sometimes you have to back away from it in order to see it more clearly, so you can ask the right questions, so you can get the answer. Sometimes you have to think about a riddle, but without overthinking it. Sometimes you have to go with your gut, the first answer that you have. Anyway, so that's kind of what this card is about. So let's go. She's the bringer of light in the darkness, yet moonlight both reveals and conceals. Her bright fairy hoofprints light the path ahead of you, guiding you through the dark. She is also one of the guides at the passage between the other worlds and this one. It is she who, with her bright light, tends to the gate of revelation, showing us the way through by illumination, while her sister, Epona's wild daughter, helps guide us through the gate of despair. Laiste's gate is much more fun. Yet, in the process of guiding us, Laiste may pull a veil of cloud across your face, across the face of her mother, which is the moon, and 3 steps later we fall into a bog. That should wake you up, she thinks, smiling wisely. She disapproves of sleepwalking, which is something that most of us humans do a great deal of the time, don't we? When we get on autopilot and we just kind of go through our days doing the same thing every single day, day in and day out, because it feels safe and because we don't have to think too much, or because we think too much and all we can manage The only stimulation we can manage is making sure that we follow our routines to make us feel safe. She disapproves of sleepwalking, which is something that most of us humans do a great deal of the time. The night contains too much magic and beauty and wisdom to walk through it unseeing. You may find her activities helpful, or you may find them frustrating. How you take them is entirely up to you, but they are intended to help you awaken. Bear in mind that she does not trip us. She merely places an obstacle or a pitfall in our path, and we, sleepwalking and unaware, step right into it. We don't have to do this. As always, it is our choice. Laiste wants us to be open to the great unknown, to mystical, not necessarily magical, experiences that teach us an expanded way to relate to the multiverse. All the worlds and dimensions together. You know, we're soaking in it. She is a daughter of the moon, but she is also an illumined child of unity. Where the Losguna, that frog queen, wishes you to get in touch with your subconscious and find the treasures there. Laiste hopes you will reach for your higher self and your not yet realized cosmic wisdom that we all have access to. You know far more than you know that you know. Listen to that again. You know far more than you know that you know. That's kind of a riddle, but not. There are places in ourselves that may have feared because they are shadowed and unknown. We may imagine them full of monsters when in fact they are inhabited by joyful spirits. She wishes us to explore this terra incognita because that is where much of our potential as yet unexplored wisdom lies. As like what I say about like where your shadow is, we reject our shadow so much of the time, but some of that is where our true magic and our true power lives. Laiste reaches into our deepest minds, opening long shut doors, illuminating and revealing the uncultivated ground of our being, our hidden senses and talents. She speaks to us in the language of symbols, as fairies often do, because words are so limited. Any one symbol may speak to us on many levels of consciousness about many different aspects of being if we spend time contemplating it. Laiste is a sphinx, and finding the answers to her profound riddles gives us keys to the multiverse. If you are attending to your dreams and visions and studying everyday occurrences, trying to discover the deeper levels of meaning in the symbols there, you are learning the language of Laiste. Like noticing synchronicity. The language spoken by artists like Brian and poets whose works are informed by rich symbolism. Discovering it through study, through looking within ourselves, and through interaction with the fairies not only teaches us the language of fairy, of art, and of high poetry, but it also gives us keys to our own psychic abilities and the deep levels of our own psyches, where the singers and the creative force of unity are most easily found. Through revelation and ecstatic experiences of the mystic, Laiste faces and leads us into the future. She prefers to let the old stuff of the past fade away in the illumination of insight and newly accessed wisdom. So, it says the starter reading. You may be finding apparently random events and ideas are falling into place and beginning to make sense to you. Things may be flowing more easily than you are accustomed to, and your decisions and choices may be bringing an unusually high degree of success. Psychic abilities, hunches, intuitions, foreknowing. You know that feeling that you just know something? There's like no doubt in your mind, you just know something. Those might be expanding too. They become clearer and they make more sense, and you need to trust the process. She also brings psychic dreams, forelighting the future and illuminating the present. These dreams often speak in symbols, as fairies are wont to do. So, we talk about her And we talk about how a lot of times intuition is not straightforward. It's like tuning in a radio dial. And even then, the radio dial is kind of shaky. It takes practice and it takes trust. And so this card and this time period with this card, anytime anybody pulls this card for themselves, whatever week that you find this card, whether it's the actual week that I'm talking to you on, or whether it's weeks later when you find this on Patreon or wherever you find this on YouTube, you can use this card, Laiste, the Moon's Daughter, and understand that this card has been pulled for you. It doesn't matter what day it is. This card is being pulled for you. It just happens to be for me right now, this particular day of this particular week. This is the energy of this particular week for me because I pulled it right now. And it's for whoever watches it right now, whenever they watch it. So that's kind of trusting the intuition. So this card will, as I said at the beginning, it's kind of like a midwife to access your connection with spirit so that you can understand that it is totally possible to walk in both worlds at once. It's just you have to trust and ask the right questions and not overthink. But also, this is what I was going to say, and I had to come back to it because I got on a tangent, is that the way that our intuition speaks to us is not necessarily direct and straightforward all the time. It can be like a language of symbols and images and words every once in a while, but it's not always words. Some people see in colors and they get a feeling from a color. Some people have this whole language of symbols that's all their own. Like the way that I receive information and understand information as far as spirit is concerned, or as far as life is concerned, is different than the way other people do. We each have our own. So be kind to yourself as you are getting to know how you know. Like, as you are getting to know the ways that you just know, there's no specific rules to that. There's no specific language to that. In fact, sometimes there's no language at all. It's just a sense. Do you know that some people have, There's clairaudience, clairsentience. There's all kinds of things. I mean, Lord, I have heard about people that read like lion poop. So, they read scat. They read bones. And they can be really accurate. You have to find your own way to connect with your intuition and to learn how to trust your intuition. And it takes a long time, and it's never going to be perfect because that's just not how life is, Anyway, I love you very much. Thank you for thank you for listening to me talk about this card, who's very beautiful. Look at her wings. And look how mischievous her face looks, though. Wait, let's get her in there. Look at that little mischievous face. She's going to play some tricks so that she wakes you up, right? Anyway, I will talk to you next time, and I hope you have a lovely week.